welcome Carlotta de Bevilacqua, Vice President and CEO of Artemide, and really looking at the innovation of the product. She's a designer, an architect, an entrepreneur. She bought and resurrected Danese Milano, a leading design company, now part of Artemide. Carlotta is most certainly one of the most major players in the world of contemporary architecture and design, with a special focus on lighting. Buongiorno, benvenuti, and welcome, Carlotta.
Buongiorno, and thank you for this invitation. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure to have you. Now, there may be one or two people who have not heard of Artemide. What is Artemide?
Artemide is a lighting company established in the 60s in Milano, established by Ernesto Gismondi, the president of Artemide, and one of, as I said, the leading company in light. Light as one of the major protagonists of our environments, of our architecture, of our indoor and outdoor needs.
Right.
So as Artemide has a great history, putting together the culture of design that was established during those years in Milano, from the Politecnico, like Ponti, Rogers, and so on, Gaia Aulenti, putting together this kind of culture to the capability of production, means of translate the ideas into industrial products. Mm-hmm. This is the great secret and the main challenge of Made in Italy design, not only for Artemide, for many companies in furniture and in lighting as well, but was always the leading spirit for Artemide, to put together humanism and science. That is the competence, the scientific competence, because we are speaking about light, together with a great manufacturing and the great talent of the authors. I have to say immediately that after the starting point with Ernesto Gismondi and Vico Magistretti, Gio Ponti, and so on, along our path, 60 years of designing the light, we met many other architects, so important. Just to remind some signature like Mario Botta, or Foster, or Aravena, or Jean Nouvel, Michele De Lucchi, now Bjarke.
All great names.
Yes, all great, and many others.
Yeah. Now, you already said it, because my next question would have been Made in Italy. What does this mean to you? You already mentioned Made in Italy. Something you want to add as far, because that's the theme of the session that we're in right now. The Made in Italy. Is there, in 2 sentences, Made in Italy? You mentioned the science and the humanism and whatever. What else is there that comes to your mind?
But Made in Italy is the competence of making. We used to say that we are made in Italy and made in Europe, because we really do believe in Europe as well. The sense of making is not only in terms of production, is in terms of competence of translating 3 things: the traditions, the experience and the intelligence of the production. The tradition means the knowledge how to do, but also to be contemporary and translate, for example, the production 4.0 or 4.1, and together to translate the future of the present. So to investigate always in new way, new materials, new performance. That appears simple, but is very complex, and it is at the base of design, exactly like in architectural, because we need to translate the future in the present. So invest in research.
Now, you mentioned architecture. To me, and I'm just a hotelier, but I like nice things and I like things to look good and to be functional yet nice and comfortable and whatever. So lighting is arguably one of the most important aspects of architecture and interior design. How would you describe the role of lighting if you had to explain to somebody who doesn't really, because there are many people out there who have nothing to do with design and architecture, but how would you explain to them what does lighting do to a building?
Lighting, of course, I try to be fast because of communication. But first of all, light is an energy that provides to the human being the reveals the reality, and this is very important. And improves our relation. Now I'm seeing you through light, even if light is anyway. So the first job of light is to allow us, if it's natural or artificial, to allow everybody to stay in the world, in the spaces, and to be related each other. The second is, of course, to feed, because light feeds the nature. Without light, no oxygen, nothing,
Yeah.
and also our brains, because we need light to stay well. And the third point is that now, until the latest decades, lights could bring information, like in an optic fibers and so on, and also photonic. We call photonic. So, for example, inside our collection, we can interact and provide data through light. So we have three jobs to support our well-being in terms of recognizing the reality and the rhythm of day and night, to support and to feed the natures and brains, we can say, in human being, and more now to create connections. So through the light, we can stay together, we can share data, we can share information, we can really create a network of knowledge of human relations.
I never looked at it that way. I mean, it's fantastic. It's fascinating. Now, in my research into you, what you do, which I didn't have enough time because you probably could fill a few weeks of that. You mentioned now, and you mentioned in other presentations that I watched. You speak about designing the future, and I also learned that sustainability means a lot to you. How do those things fit together for you? Where do you see them integrating?
But sustainability is so just to be very simple and maybe very short information, then we can jump in deep next time. Sustainability is how we approach the production. So how we design the product means which kind of materials, which kind of consumption, and so on. Then how we produce the product and the expected time for the product and consumptions. So altogether, we don't want to consume. We use materials that are intelligent, and we process this material and we produce the product with a low consumption. So this is a total, and we deliver and the distribution at the end to you or to me, and long-lasting product. So we are certified by Deloitte in terms of sustainable report, because this is, first of all, for us, a very important grid to measure our sustainability. Second, we want to teach to the world that we need to be sustainable if we want a future. And so, because maybe in 10 years doesn't matter, but in 50 years, yes. So, and third of all, we want to always believe that the beauty, that the art, that the knowledge, that the education to stay well, also inside shapes and performances could be totally come si dice, could be combined totally to the best sustainability. Right. And the best innovation. This is our future in the present, and this is Artemide that is able to combine a great culture of design, a great innovation, more than 30 patents of innovation only in the latest 2 years, and the best sustainability. Of course, it's a great challenge that we update day by day, but really, through the matter of the meaning of light, we want to light the present and the future in the best way.
No, I like that a lot, and also some of the designs that I've seen, certainly are talking to that in a way as well, because they're classics. They are, not something which you say it's very fashionable now and then you throw it away a few years later. As you say, it's long-lasting, the design itself, but also the way you make your products. Time is running away, and I wish I could talk much longer to you, but we are living through a crisis at the moment, and in which way do you believe will design be influenced by this crisis? Will there be a change? Will there be an influence that this crisis, COVID-19, Corona, has on us?
So I have, with humility, I can give you an answer only inside the matter, the lighting field. Sure. Lighting field has a great job now, because Artemide has a patent, a light able to fight bacteria and virus.
Oh, really?
So, yes. The collection is called Integralis. We have presented 1 week ago, and is really something on which we were working since 1 year, but mi dai un manifesto di integrazione giornale? And so we really think that every time that science is improved because to help humanity to stay better, to help the world to stay better, at the end is super, the results. So we moved from, not only in this case, but also in other cases, to design not the products like a lamp, but to design the light. And then every kind of light, every kind of light has landed could land in a body. So this is 2 portable lights, one designed by me, one designed by Bjarke Ingels Group. In this light, you can introduce the blue lights. So we have, I will send you maybe, so when you mount, you can have the picture. So Integralis is a light that could be placed in, could be white, could be blue, could be violet, and has, of course, a super cutting edge solution in order to sanify our spaces. This is the advertising that we had on our Italian newspaper.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic. And I have to say another thing, that we have Integralis, and I will send to you, but also we manage all these products through an app. That is not a matter of playing, it's a very intelligent interaction, because we are facing in this latest year the matter of time with the T is an Integralis, of course. That is that we want to provide the light with a simple and fast installation. That means you can manage up to 500 lighting fixtures only with the app. So you save money, time, and you are free to follow your spaces, and you are free to follow your emotion.
That sounds amazing. I'm sorry to cut in there, Carlotta. I'm really sorry. I am fascinated, and I wish we could stay longer, but we're already way over time. But the Integralis is certainly something which is something to watch and something to look at. I say mille grazie to Carlotta Bevilacqua. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to speak to you soon in real life.
Thank you. Ciao.
buongiorno and welcome, and thank you for joining us, Riccardo Illy. Riccardo Illy is the president of Polo di Gusto, the extra coffee sector. The name Illy, of course, stands for coffee worldwide. Riccardo was a politician. He held various positions such as mayor of Trieste and president of the region. And he's a published author of a book called Dal Caffè all'Espresso, From Coffee Beans to Espresso. Buongiorno and benvenuti.
Buongiorno, hello everybody.
How are you doing, Riccardo?
Thank you, I'm doing fine. After some months staying at home, finally we are free again. I have been in our resort, Mastroianni in Tuscany last week, so now it's really fine.
And right now, where do we find you? Where are you now?
I stay in Prosecco, which is a tiny village close to Trieste. From my house, I can see the sea. And this village allowed Italy to maintain the name of the wine, Prosecco, which is so successful worldwide right now.
Fantastic. I mean, all these regions that you mentioned make me want to travel, but we're still stuck here with a country that is closed in South Africa, where I'm based. Riccardo, we're talking about made in Italy. What does made in Italy to mean to you as somebody who carries the name of one of the most famous Italian brands?
When I think to made in Italy, two words comes to my mind. One is genius and the other is aesthetics. Genius is applied in mechanics, so we use it for producing robots and machines and even cars. And aesthetics is applied in all the fashion sector, in furniture, in also for cars. So Ferrari, for example, represents the two, genius and also aesthetics. And finally, in the whole food sector, because our aesthetical approach allows us to produce excellent foods. We have excellent chefs and we produce really excellent wines. And both words, genius and aesthetics, are helping us in exporting, at least in the last decades, and I hope this will continue also in the future. And of course, aesthetics is also related to tourism, because it is represented by the beauty of the country, by the cultural and artistic aspects, and by the wonderful hotels and restaurants we have ready to host tourists coming from all over the world.
Amazing how you say that. It should, I think, whoever is holding the brand Italy should copy what you just said, because to me it sums it up beautifully. Thank you very much for that. You mentioned export. Illy Caffè and your products as well from Polo di Gusto is imported into over 140 countries. I've had your coffee, and I'm sure I had some of the other products that Polo di Gusto produces and sends out. Now, seeing the global reach that you have, how has this crisis, how has this pandemic, the fallout from COVID-19, how has it affected your business?
It affected quite sharply, especially what we call the sister companies, so the extra coffee companies, because they were so much focused on the HoReCa, hotel, restaurant, and cafes. And as you know, the majority of cafe and restaurant have been locked down for about 2 months, even more. So our sales really had a sharp decline. We could recover partially through the e-commerce. And what we learned is the need to be more balanced in terms of distribution in the different channels. So we want to stay in the HoReCa channel, but we also want to better grow in retail, also in the modern distribution, maybe with different brands or different packaging that are not going to go, let's say, in conflict with the traditional sector and with the HoReCa. And another thing we learned is that we can never put all your cards on just one supplier. In France, we had the opportunity of almost tripling the sales through the e-commerce, but for about 2 weeks, we weren't able to deliver in the Paris area, even if our supplier were the French state-owned postal service. They closed their service for about 2 weeks. It's amazing. So another lesson we learned is that you need at least always to have two supplier, better if three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can say that our coffee machine at home has worked much harder now since we're in lockdown than it has before, because you don't go out for coffee anymore. You have to have it inside, and I think that's definitely a growth market, and people are probably recognizing that we can also have good coffee at home. One thing which I read and found most interesting, I mean, coffee is normally seen as a commodity, but there are, or have been over the last number of years, initiatives by yourself and your company to decommoditize coffee and to create fairer practices and create sustainable coffee regions through long-term supply contracts. Tell us a couple of things about that, because sustainability is obviously something that many of us want to see coming out of this crisis, and you're already leading the way there, I believe.
Yes, decommoditization is strictly related with the sustainability. We thought that with an increasing percentage of consumer worldwide, even in developing countries, even in China to say, or in Brazil to mention another country, of wealth people, their demand won't be anymore just for coffee or pasta or chocolate or tea, but for high quality, top quality coffee, tea, and chocolate. So we choose a strategy for our product that I call disruptive quality. And disruptive quality is represented by 4 pillars. The first one is you need a quality, a superior quality that can be recognized even by a non-expert. Second, the use of the best raw material. Third, of a process for producing the goods which is different and incompatible with the mainstream process. And finally, the attention on sustainability. And that means mainly environmental and social sustainability. So we pay our growers for coffee, for cocoa, for teas, a price which is higher than the one of the commodity prices that you can find in the stock exchange in New York or in London, because we get a higher quality. And this price will cover all the costs of the growers, will leave them a margin, and will finally leave them a special, let's say, price if the quality is such superior than compared to our needs. And thanks to this, we think that our growers are able to not only have a decent way of life, but they will be able to grow further their plantation, to further improve the quality of the products they are supplying to us. And this is our, let's say, philosophy. Illy Cafe is even certified for the responsible supply chain. And also the Mori for chocolate and Daman for tea will get this kind of certification in the future.
Right. That's fantastic. That is really good to know, and I wish that more would follow that example, because I think sustainability is something that is not just Fridays for Future and for young people, but even for the grey foxes like ourselves. It's something very important to make sure that we leave a planet that is better than the one that we're finding right now. Time is running out. I just want to have 1 or 2 sentences from you where you think where we're going with this. I know it's difficult in 2 sentences. Is there something positive that we can take out of this crisis? Will we be better people? Will we be better companies?
I think there were 3 important trends before the coronavirus crisis. One was in politics. Democracy was under, let's say, scrutiny. And the second was in the economy. The capital system was under, I would say, even critics. And the third one was energy. We were already in a shift from oil, gas, energy to renewable. And I think that the crisis is going to accelerate the 3 changes, the 3 shifts. So probably we will find a new way to govern our countries. I hope not a dictatorship as we have in some countries, but a more participated democratic system thanks to digitization. Second, I think in the capitalism, we will have more and more benefit corporations. So corporations that are taking care not only of their shareholders, of profits, but first of all of their customers and of all the stakeholders, starting from the employees, going to supplier, and going to the environment, and going finally to the local community where the company are working. And finally, in energy, I'm quite sure that the crisis will accelerate the shift. Already now, renewables energies are costing less than the oil or gas produced electricity. Mm-hmm. And so this will accelerate the process of shifting almost all the production to renewables. And finally, I think we will save the planet, not so much for the wise politics, but for the effects of the economy.
Let's hope that happens. What you said, I really like that as closing. Thank you so much, mille grazie, and I hope to meet you in person one day soon. Giorgio, thank you so much for arranging this, and we'll chat very soon. Mille grazie.
Okay, grazie. See you soon. Grazie a voi.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Arrivederci.
Buongiorno, good morning to Enrico Bartolini, who is the only chef in history of the Michelin Guide to have been awarded 4 stars at the same time, including 2 for his eponymous restaurant at Mudec Museum of Cultures in Milan, where we find you today. Buongiorno, Enrico.
Buongiorno, and very many thanks for inviting me for this special occasion.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here as part of our Milan focused, Italy focused, but also European focused conference. You have got an enormous amount of accolades. You know, all the stars that you collected, Tre Forchette, and I don't know how many others, and Gambaretti, and whatever the awards are in Italy. You are known all over the world. You've got restaurants in Milan, in Bergamo, in Castiglione della Pescaia, in Venice, in Monferrato, in Borgo, San Felice, in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Hong Kong.
Correct.
Unbelievable. So, you know, made in Italy and exporting it straight into the world. What does made in Italy mean to you?
Well, made in Italy is, first of all, a part of my life, because I love this country where I was born in 79. And I started to be a chef, a very young chef, when I was 13 years old with my uncle. And my dream was to prepare fresh pasta with the best mushroom on the market. And then I discovered the beautiful and the luxury cuisine in France. But my love for Italy teach to me to come back home and stay in this beautiful country, because the quality of people sometimes is also strange, but I love this kind of discipline, heart, and all the richness we have in each region, especially the biodiversity. The first thing I need to have close to me are the ingredients, because the quality and the variety of the ingredients I have disposition in my different restaurants, I cannot find in another country. When I visit United States, Asia, Africa, I'm very happy to discover different culture, new ingredients, but the quantity of resources I have in this country is incredible, and I cannot work without. And then,
sorry, carry on.
Please.
No, you carry on, please. Stop you there, sorry.
And made in Italy is a very big word, and everybody use this word for describe something artisanal or Mediterranean. My opinion is I want to be a part of Italian lifestyle who include made in Italy.
Well, I mean, everybody who is not Italian, of course, the Italians with pride, but everybody who's not Italian, I'm German, I live in South Africa, but Italy has got something special for most people. There is something about it, and your food, of course, as well. I want to come back to the ingredients. Do you use ingredients or any ingredients from other countries, from other regions, or do you use exclusively Italian?
Of course, I'm first of all very curious to discover and open to have a relation in every part of the world. I love to have relations with people and ingredients too. But I'm also an Italian chef. For this reason, first of all, I need to protect my culture. And I'm also an ambassador of my country. And I think it's correct to looking for around us, first of all, the best ingredients we have. And then with the creativity we have, we can also involve some research from everywhere. During my very short career, 3-4 years ago, I was more open to use different ingredients who arrive from everywhere, especially from Asia, because when I started to have a relation with that country, I have many opportunities to discover something really new for me and for my palate. This curiosity I had gave to me I wanted to share with my guests the ingredients I discovered there. But now we are more focused on our different terroir, because if we have many guests who arrive from foreign country, and I think they want to discover our personality, our identity, and that identity will be well done if we're looking for the ingredients around us.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I think everything to do with the region, everything to do with what's around us, I think is so important. We talk about sustainability in restaurants and hotels in the world, and I think that speaks to that kind of sustainability. Now I'm hearing some pots and whatever in the background. So the restaurant is open, and Giorgio, who I forgot to introduce, Giorgio Bianchi, of course, is he coming for lunch today? Are you preparing lunch for Giorgio? Because he's also sitting.
He did not reserve, but I can find a table for him.
There we go. Make a plan. But that leads me to the next question. All these restaurants that I mentioned, obviously, in this horrible times of COVID-19, Corona, whatever you want to call it, the crisis that we're dealing with. Are they open right now? Have they been open? What was the situation, or what is the situation right now?
Mm-hmm. We follow, first of all, the lockdown from the 8th March until the 2nd of June. And we opened in Bergamo the 1st June and the 2nd in Milano. And we will open next week in Castiglione della Pescaia in Tuscany, the 12th June. Next will be in Venice, the 18th June, and the 1st August will be the open in Sant'Uffizio in Monferrato. Mm-hmm. We decide to wait to open because the market is growing very, very slowly, but we are confident that people in this moment love to come back to have a great experience in the restaurants. In this moment, we are not focused on the economics because we need to preserve the quality we had until the 7th March, and for be reassured as first of before the guest, we need to be sure that the quality we did before it's every time inside us.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest challenges as we talk about restart. Restart is the theme of our conference, to make sure that when restaurants and hotels open, to have the ingredients, to have the people, and all that there. Are you traveling to those places yourself? Are you going to be there when they're open?
Until now, I did not move from Milano. I went only in Bergamo for the open, and I will visit the restaurant when they will open. But yes, of course, I need to check what we will do. And the planning, the operation and training the staff is the first detail we need for do a great job. For this reason, I will be there, hope at the right moment.
Now I'm sure that everybody is just sitting there waiting for you to open and you know, to enjoy your hospitality and your culinary skills. Restart also means looking into the future, looking ahead. Any other plans, any new restaurants that you're planning, anything where you say this is something I'm really excited about and that has carried you through? Because I'm sure as a restaurateur, and I'm a hotelier at heart, so we are in the same family, you know, not being able to serve your guests, not being able to be hospitable is painful in times like this when you're closed. So what has carried you through this time to say, there's my focus and what will happen? Are there any future plans that you have that you've got that you can tell us about?
Yeah, our focus was until the last 8 March to produce the best quality we can. And with the reopen, we think exactly the same. We're looking for the best ingredients. We train the staff and we offer to the guest our experience and our philosophy 100%. Now, the psychology we need to involve is a message who reassure people that they will find what they are looking for. We want to satisfy the expectation like every time. Nothing changed. During the lockdown, me and my colleague, we spoke very often about what will change, what we have to do. Probably we have to change everything in the restaurants. I think, and I want to be very conservative in this moment, because we need to control the cost and be focused on the quality of the service and the ingredients and recipe.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think that's a beautiful sum up of quality made in Italy. Enrico Bartolini, I thank you so much for your time. I really look forward to Giorgio, and I will definitely keep you up on that when I, and not if, but when I come to Milan, that we go and meet Enrico and have lunch there. Mille grazie, and wish you all the very best with the reopening of all your other places, and you know, wish you well. Thank you very much, and ciao Milan.
Thank you a lot. Bye.
Buongiorno to Katia Bassi, who is the Chief Marketing Officer and Board Member of Automobili Lamborghini. Buongiorno, Katia.
Buongiorno. Hello, everyone. I'm okay, thank you. We are back to the office, and this is a good thing for us.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I'm also joined by my dear friend and colleague, Giorgio Bianchi, our director in Italy. Buongiorno, Giorgio.
Buongiorno.
Katia, it's a real honor to have you here as part of our hotel forum. Made in Italy is one of the subjects that we're talking about. What, in a few sentences, would you say means made in Italy to you, who represents one of the best known, most famous brands of Italy? What does that signify?
But for me, made in Italy, it's all about craftsmanship, attention to details, everything that could make people comfortable in their skin. So this is what Lamborghini stands for. Even if we have a German shareholder, we are Italian, and all our colleagues are Italian. And therefore, you know, for me, the most important thing is to show the real soul of the Italian brands. And made in Italy is all made by people, right? So it's everything. It's a 360-degree perception.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Now, 2019 was an awesome year for Lamborghini. You had increase of sales, 28% to 1.81 billion. Your units sold were from 5,750 to 8,205 units. That's phenomenal. And then suddenly we are faced with something that we didn't hear of before, COVID-19. How has this impacted on you? How is it impacting on you currently?
So let's say that we have been lucky enough to have a very good first 3 months of 2020. It's clear that all the dealers shut down in April, and therefore there was nothing that we can do in that sense. But we kept on doing things. We launched the Huracan Spider 2-wheel drive. We launched a cooperation with Supreme. We launched a cooperation with Lego. So we are trying to do things, to keep people entertained and, to send them good vibes. So it's very early to say what's going on now and what is going to be the end of the year. But we are pretty positive because we can see a very good reaction, thanks also to the fact that the stock exchange didn't suffer too much. And as you know, this is the segment of our cars is mainly affected by a drop of the stock exchange, which didn't happen, fortunately. So I would say that we are optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about your markets, how do you define your market? What is, if it exists, what is the typical Lamborghini market? Is it the gray fox? I looked at your Euros and I said, yes, I could get into this, and some others, the Countach or whatever, I would probably struggle getting out of. How do you define your market? What is your typical Lamborghini client look like?
It's a very young target age kind of customer, almost 20% below 30 years old.
Wow,
almost 50% below 40. We have with Urus a completely new customer base because 70% of Urus customers are new to the brand. So we open up the doors to a different kind of customer, and so also we have the chance to touch the female target as well. So let's say that in principle, very young, very nice and cool people. People that feel comfortable in their skin, that rather prefer the essence than the form. And that's why, we represent ourselves with one of the pillars of the strategy, that is the informal luxury. So we are, of course, a luxurious brand, but at the same time, we love informality. And that's what our customers love as well.
Right. Now, luxury is exactly the point I'm looking for. Luxury, we as hotel advisors, as hotel consultants, we operate, our clients operate in the luxury market as well. And some luxury brands have started to play around, and some have done it already successfully with the hospitality market. Is that something that Lamborghini might be looking at?
Oh, yes, definitely. We are going to launch officially a partnership very soon that has been already signed in. That sense, more residential than hotels, to be honest with you, because we wanted to start with something, let's say, where we felt more comfortable, because you need to have for hotels definitely a very strong partner. So we are moving the first steps in this industry, but I believe that our segment and your segment are very strictly related, because one of the most important elements for luxury brands, and in particular for super sports cars brands, is the travel aspect. And travel means also moving from a place to another and going into a location where you can spend your leisure time. And therefore, we have a very strict relationship with hospitality, because this is really the place where we meet our customers, actually. So when we go during the winter season in Kitzbühel or St. Moritz or Cortina, is because we want to be close to them. We want to bring the experience there, as much as we do the same thing during the summer period in Porto Cervo or Pebble Beach. So the two things are very much related. That's why I believe that hospitality and real estate programs are an extension of the experience of driving a Lamborghini. And we want to reflect the same kind of flavor and design DNA in properties.
It sounds very, very exciting. We should definitely speak some more about this. You know, it starts with residential, but maybe one can move into the slightly shorter stay market as well. Tell me, I always want to, and after almost 3 months of being locked up down here in Cape Town, where I live, one looks at where are the positives? Is there anything positive? I mean, what would you see? Is there anything positive that comes out of this crisis? I mean, Italy was, as we all know, was very, very badly hit by it. The business was hit, and you know, is there anything where you say, in a year's time or in 2 years' time, we can look back with some and say, yes, we learned some good lessons out of this?
Well, it's very difficult, let's say, to find a positive thing, even if I'm very holistic, and I try always to find, you know, the best in every situation that occurred. But knowing what's going on in Italy and knowing how many people lost their jobs and, you know, how different industries have been affected, it's very difficult to say, yes, but you know what, you know, we have been reunited with our families, we spent more time at home with the people that we love. It's very difficult to make this kind of spiritual thoughts while people are really suffering because they don't have enough money, you know, to keep on going. The only thing that I hope is that we learn something in terms of how you know, difficult it is to make planning. Companies used to plan, you know what's going on, you know, in the next 5 years. How can you do that right now? You know, it's very difficult because you plan, you organize, you put in place everything, and then at the end of the day, it happens what we just experienced. COVID-19 comes to your life, and you know, everything will be upside down in a moment. So I believe that we need probably to be more flexible. The only lesson learned, in my opinion, is definitely that you know, we should live in a moment, and of course we have to plan things, but having also a backup solution, because if something of that magnitude happens to your life, you have to be ready.
Yeah, you're right. As many people say, carpe diem, you know, seize the day, live in the moment. Katja, Bassi, I would love to speak to you a little bit longer, but unfortunately time is running out. Thank you so much. Mille grazie. I wish you well personally and your family. I wish you well as Lamborghini, and we look forward to that hospitality concept. And maybe, you never know, we could maybe work on that together. Thank you very much. Fantastic. And arrivederci. Ciao.
Grazie. Ciao. Thank you, everyone.